Oh, is that too much light? Good morning. Good morning. I just finished my live on the process I use to get to my top 5 highest values that I live by. Shared it over there on my public page. You can catch the replay if you were not there. However, oh my gosh, I had to come back on here because I keep getting this nudge, and you got to listen to the nudge. And that's how you build trust in your decision making and with yourself, your source, your inner source. So this nudge is all about a trigger that happened over the weekend that transpired, and I just had to listen to the nudge and come on here and share it with you guys. Oh my gosh. And it was all about dishes, y'all. However, I really wanted to share it because it's a really great opportunity to share with you a piece of my life that is funny, but also, like, it happens in most marriages, and how, the process, like how I deal with stuff as it arises. So practicing what I preach, so that I can share with you, and maybe you can apply it in your own life. Anyways, I didn't want to come on and share this. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, I don't want to share that. I don't want to share that. It's embarrassing. Too embarrassing. And my husband's going to love me for sharing it. However, letting all that go, setting it aside so that I can share it with you, I decided, okay, fine, I'll get on here and share it. Had to get me some more Joe. I don't know about you, but I'm a keto coffee drinker. Bullet. I get my keto and I run out. I have the recipe for the bulletproof one. Good morning, Miss Lydia. Anyway, so we all have these experiences, right? In our marriages, with our children, with our coworkers, or just in relationship in general. And I'm always talking about triggers. And so a trigger is a reaction to something that is being said, or something that's happened, and we have this reaction to it. And for me, I call it a trigger. I'm sure it's used by other coaches or whatever out there in the world. That's where I picked up the word, was trigger. I was like, oh yeah, that's what a trigger is. So I had an experience over the weekend that transpired with my husband that triggered a reaction that was just not nice at all. So I want to share that with you, because it's possible that you have things like this that transpire in your life, and I want to give you the access to what it is that I do to powerfully deal with that and move on with life, right? Because what happens, I know in the past, what would happen is it would fester in my mind, and it would just go on and on and on in my head. I would be like, before you know it, I'd be thinking about divorce, seriously, over dishes. And this is just what happens. This is like our brain, that little voice constantly going in the head. And so by practicing being aware of that voice, you're able to, powerfully deal with things as they arise. However, sometimes we still get triggered and we react, but then what, right? So this is where the power of being 100% responsible for yourself and how you show up in your world, in your relationships, is an opportunity to clean it up and be responsible for how you show up in the world, or how you're showing up in that relationship with your partner, your husband, or your wife. And this is the hardest part for people. I know that when I first started learning this and doing it, it was not freaking easy, and I was not willing to get off it. And what I mean by getting off of it is not accepting responsibility for how I was in that, what happened. So there's the thing that happened, which was, so my husband and I are in the kitchen, Bella's in here, and his sister was here, and he was getting Bella something to drink, getting a cup out of the cabinet, and he looks at the cup, and I'm talking with his sister, and he looks at the cup and he's like, "Geez, woman, look at how dirty this cup is." Then he starts pulling out some more glasses. He's like, "Wow, look at this one. That's why I don't use the dishwasher." Right? Like this is what he said. "That's why I don't use the dishwasher. I do them by hand." And my instant reaction, I got triggered because I wasn't being present, was I started hearing it through a filter from my past, which sounded something similar to what my mom would say to me. And there was some pain around it because I would make it mean something about me, like I'm not good enough, or I can't do it right, I'm always getting it wrong, whatever those belief systems are that I've, implanted in my brain. And so we see and hear things through these filters that were either socially programmed or programmed in our minds from patterns of the way we were growing up. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that. I just want to get to the story. So what happened was Buck pointed out some dirty dishes. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Donna and Leslie Taylor. What you guys up to? You got your Joe? Did you already have your Joe this morning? I think I'm on my 5th cup. Anyways, so anyways, he's pointing. Do you guys ever experience that? You get triggered? Well, mine was about the dishes, or sometimes it's about leaving the toilet lit up. I get triggered by that sometimes too. Anyways, so this happened to trigger me, and it wasn't a pleasant moment for my husband or me in the moment, because that's not who I am, right? That's not how I want to be in my relationship with my husband, is this biatch. He had plenty of years of that, right? So he's going on, he's like pulling these glasses out, these little glasses out of the cabinet, and he starts making it very obvious in front of, so I immediately was experiencing being embarrassed, and like he was putting me down for not having clean dishes. So obviously that triggered something in me, which for me, after thinking it through, it was a reminder of my mom, or even my ex-stepdad, about the cleanliness of the dishes. And there was one particular moment when I was a little girl, I had done the dishes, but I didn't do them to their perfection or the way they wanted them or whatever, right? It just was whatever. And as kids, we make up all kinds of stuff. However, they made me do all the dishes again and wash all the dishes in the cabinets because I missed some. There was some that I did not get clean. And that was painful for me as a child. So, reliving the moment, my trigger reaction was like, I got defensive, immediately got defensive, right? And I was just like, I go, you know what? Who cares? You do the dishes by hand and I do them by the freaking dishwasher. And those cups that you're holding are the cups that I happen to use for Bella's painting, which I do. but then I start flowing into excuses, and it's just starting to bubble up there. I'm starting to feel a little frustrated that he's calling me out on something. Ugh, don't you hate that? Do you ever, like, has your husband ever done that to you? Or not even your husband or your wife, maybe a coworker or a boss. Oh my gosh, a boss. Come on, give me some love. Show me some hearts. Am I in this alone or what? Like, how would you feel if your husband calls you out in front of a friend or, family members, especially if it was their mom, or my mom? Like, if my mom or his mom would have been here, I don't know that his mom would have said anything, but because she's very clean. Like, I already have this subconscious thing about, first off, I used to have a lot of OCD about cleanliness. Not anymore. Too exhausting. And then I had, I used to care a lot about what other people thought when they'd come to my house, or, it was all about looking good, and I gave all that up. Anyways, I still got upset though. And, and I'm trying to keep my composure in this conversation. However, the voice got going, and he just, in my mind, he just kept going on and on and on about the dish, that it was dirty, and that he washes the dishes with his hands, and that's why I don't use a dishwasher. And I'm like, good for you. Like, that's how you do the dishes. That's how you do the dishes. I like to use a dishwasher. I don't want to do them with the freaking in the sink. That, who cares how you do your dishes as long as they get done, right? Well, in my mind, that was right. And I was going to fight for that. I wanted to be right and make him wrong for making me wrong in front of my friend. And here's the thing, you guys, really. Actually, my friend, his sister, my sister-in-law. And she's just like standing there listening to the whole thing, right? And then Bella's standing there just listening. Bella's almost 5, you guys, this month. And okay, now I'm like super embarrassed to tell you what I ended up doing. So I'm just gonna say it. So I was boiling up here, and I was like, okay, I've had enough. I said, fuck off. And I walked out. Oh my goodness. Yep, that's what I did. Yep. And then guess what I did after that? So his sister comes with me, and we go outside. I'm like, I need a moment here to think. But instead, what I did, and this is what we do as humans, right? Especially if you're not transformed and don't know any of this stuff. Like, this is just what we do in life. So then we go outside, and I enrolled her. And he's not going to talk to me like that. And what I mean by enrolling. So enrolling is like, I'm just having a conversation to get her agreement in something. I'm trying to get her to side with me. Not purposefully. It's not something that we do on purpose. Sometimes people do it on purpose. But we take our complaint to somebody else in hopes that they will be in agreement with us and back us up, and she's my posse now, and I'm gonna have her on my side. So I'm outside, and I was like, can you believe how you just talked to me? Like, that's not gonna happen. Like, no way, he ain't gonna disrespect me, especially in front of people. And she agreed. Yeah. I said, that's what he does. That's what he does. I'm telling her this, right? Like, this is what he does sometimes, and this is what gets under my skin. And so she's, along with the ride. That's what happened. He pulled out a dish, made some comments about it, and I had some thoughts around it and was a jackass towards my husband about his thoughts about it. So in reality, all he did was pull out some cups from the cupboard, had some thoughts about it. And you know what? Here's the funny thing about the whole thing. I make fun of it because it's already done and gone. And however, what I do, because that's not who I want to be in my relationship with my husband, and I don't want to be like that in front of my daughter, because what I want her to see is her parents, working through things or whatever, and yeah, we do have our moments. We all do. Hi, niece. Hi, Alex. So, however, I did get a little out of control with what I wanted to say, or not wanted to. That just was a reactive state of mind. It was, I came from an old point of view that doesn't serve me, because I'm not still a child living at home with my mom following her rules. I live in my own house. Now, here's how I shifted it. And I got responsible for my part in it. Whatever his part is, it doesn't matter to me. It's none of my business. Who cares about feelings and all that stuff? You got to let that go, that part of it go. Because if you involve your feelings in a conversation about an upset that happened around feelings, you're not going to get anywhere because you still are coming from this place of, I'm making you wrong for what you said or what you did or blah, 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 blah. None of that matters. What matters is that you have peace of mind and freedom and full self-expression. And I can't have a conversation with somebody from that space if I'm in a space of reaction from the past. And that was a reaction from my past. So, but what I needed to do was get away from the scenery of the whole thing and just be with it. And where can I be responsible in what happened? And the first thing is I'm going to do the dishes by the dishwasher. I'm not going to not always do them by hand, right? That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And he can do dishes by hand. Nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with saying to him from a place of love that how I experienced that. I was feeling embarrassed because I felt like you were, whatever. But if you think about it, I'm still making him wrong. And that's easy to get sidetracked into, okay? So I want to try to simplify this for you. So if you are 100% responsible for your part in whatever transpires. So for me, over the weekend, it was the dish thing. And I could have stayed on it all weekend long, carried it out. And what I mean by being on it is I would become passive aggressive, withhold my love from him, in a way to punish him for doing whatever my mind is telling me that he's not doing right. So, but that's not the place we want to be, right? So if you want a deeper, meaningful connection and love with your relationships with people, and especially with your immediate family, you got, the first step is to be aware of your thoughts and your feelings and how you show up, and being responsible when you're not showing up from that deeper, meaningful relationship, that commitment that you have for each other. Hi, Cynthia. Good morning. So, So once I got out of my head and I just kind of just sat there, I took a few calming deep breaths and I just processed what happened. Well, all that happened was is he had some thoughts of his own, which he has a right to, about the dishes. Instead of coming from a place of commitment of deeper, meaningful relationship with him, I came from a past belief, hearing and through one of my filters about mom or ex-stepdad, how they would speak to me, how I would hear things, instead of the other way, because that's not who I am, right? Then that's how I would react. Now, that's just how we are as humans. Until you put it into practice, being aware and observing your responses or how you want to be in your response. It's about who you're being, right? So who I was being in that moment was a jerk, defensive, and reactive. I wanted to react as a bitch and put him in his place and make him wrong for talking to me. You're not going to disrespect me in front of, right? How do you think that's going to work out? Wouldn't you think that if I just hung on to that, let it fester, and I've got his sister enrolled in my drama about how he's behaving and making him look bad to her, and she wants to look, be in my presence, so she will agree, right? And some people won't. If you have friends that are actually empowering and uplifting and they don't enable your BS, they will actually say, that's BS, Susan. Whoa, church. They will actually be a stand for and not enable your conversations and complaints about other people. They will actually empower you and uplift you, and hold you account or responsible, and remind you of that you are responsible in your own relationships and how you show up. That's a friend, and so, like, I'm not even placing blame or anything like that, but what I'm just pointing to is that that's what we do, is we enroll other people on our side because they need to be in our posse so that we can feel right about, not feel, but believe that we're right about making somebody else wrong. And that doesn't work for me, right? Okay, so the first step was acknowledging to myself, wow, where did that come from? So I have this inner dialogue about, where did that come from? What was that really about? And that's when I realized, oh yeah, that's just a filter from my childhood memories. So reminding myself, filter. Then it's about being responsible for my part in it. And so then it's seeing where was I not being responsible, and how, and by making him wrong, by being passive aggressive, by getting upset, walking out, and then withholding my love for him in a form of punishing him, and then being responsible for all of that. And what I mean by being responsible for all of that is actually sucking it up and going over to him and actually acknowledging to him, like, whoa, I was a jerk. I was a bitch, and I apologize. So cleaning up my mess that I made, because if I wanted to, if I were coming from a place of being loved, it could have showed up more like, you're right, honey. I love using the dishwasher. I know you love doing the dishes. And what I can do in the future is make sure that when I'm putting the dishes away, to make sure that I'm not putting away dirty dishes. Because there's integrity in that. There's integrity in, you know, making sure the dishes are clean when I'm putting them away. If I want to use the dishwasher, then I need to be fully responsible in the use of using the dishwasher via my hands. I mean, I've seen people's dishes dirty, even washing them by hand. Like, it doesn't matter about any of that. What matters is that I have love and affinity in my relationship with my husband, and that we have juicy connection as often as possible, more so than the ugliness of wrong making. I'm right, you're wrong. And that could be a fight that goes on. It used to be like that for us. And I know many people who have relationships where they fight all the time, and then pretend in public that life is grand and hunky-dory. It's not. So that's why I was like really reluctant to even come on here and share, is because ego is telling me, no, you don't want to do that. That's embarrassing. But the truth of the matter is I get to share something, a little piece of my life where I'm actually not living this perfect life, and I'm being transparent and vulnerable, in hopes that you would actually hear something in what I'm sharing that you can apply in your own life, so that you can create a juicy, loving marriage or relationship with your boss. And you can have a juicy relationship with your boss. It's possible. And here's the thing, the reason why that's even more important is because what you focus on is what you're giving your energy to and manifesting more of in your life. And I'm committed that you are manifesting more of the goody, juicy awesomeness of life versus the stuff that just makes you feel like crap, that brings you down, makes you feel depressed or overwhelmed or anxious, because that's not who we are at an authentic, true level. And when I look at you and I'm talking to you as this person, like I'm really talking to the beingness of you, your consciousness level, or your spiritual side of things, because your inner being gets it, already knows this stuff. You already know this stuff intellectually. I'm just reminding you to go back to that space, because in the end, we really love people. We really love our husband, or we really love our wife. We just don't have the right tools to help us have that more often than not. So that's it. It's just like I'm giving you a tool to put in your tool belt to pull out as needed. Anyway, so I had to share this with you. As embarrassing as my mind was telling me it would be, I actually am, what I'm experiencing right now is like, I'm so glad I came on and shared this with you, because we all have a crappy side that we don't like, and we have our dark nights of the soul and our little shadows or big shadows. And you always hear people coming on and sharing all the grand hunky-dory stuff that sounds exciting and amazing, and you wish you were living that life. Don't do that. Just don't go there. From my own experience, like, wishing I had somebody else's life is only manifesting more of the life that you don't like. So we're all very aware of the life that we don't want and what we don't like. Now you get to just start looking for the things that you do like and want in your life. Focus on that. What brings you joy? What makes your marriage juicier, or more alive, or more playful? And focus on those things. Like, I'm super eager. Like, I could sit here and bash and be embarrassed about where I'm living. But the fact is like, I am like super appreciative that I have a home, because I've experienced being homeless. So I get that. And how can somebody like who's come from being homeless, even that doesn't matter. What matters is that I appreciate that I have a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in, and food in my fridge, and my utilities are paid. I appreciate my life. I love, 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 love my life. And I love, 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 love coming on here and sharing with you ideas and ways that could benefit you in your marriage or in your relationships with people and your children, you know? So that's what I wanted to come on and share. Be aware if you get triggered and it's already happened, you can still be responsible for how you showed up. By cleaning that up, you restore your integrity with you, yourself. And when I talk about self, I'm talking about source within. That's what's important. The source within. Okay, the source of love, the source of worthiness, the source of compassion. That's our truest self, our true divine juicy self. And so when we come from that space, when we're being present, that's all that shows up in our space and with others around us. And if they're not showing up in that way, because we're being present and that's what we're creating in our space as who we are being in the world, they can't be in that space for too long. You got me? It's like you get to show up for them to create a new space in their space, because I'm calling forth your inner being, your source. And when you have a strong ego, your victims coming out, or a bully, or the rescuer in you. I've been all those. I've experienced all that. I know them so well. I've experienced anger. I've experienced so much in my life that, and it's almost as if for the past few years I've replayed in my own mind and through my own coaching and through the different modalities and tools that I've used in my life, re-experienced those motions so that I can easily connect the dots and make sense of that stuff when I'm working with other people. So, and so when I'm in the presence of somebody else, if I get triggered, it's because I'm not being present with my source. I'm not being present in source. I'm not being present in who I'm being in the world and what I'm committed to. So, get triggered and you just can't seem to be working through that shiznit, and you'd like me to reach out to you, just drop me an emoji and I will private message you. Got it? Because you don't need to live in that shiznit. There's more to life than that. And if you got friends that enable that crap, get rid of them. Get them out. Get going. Okay? Got me? I hope you got me, because I'm signing off now. All right. You have a blessed day. Namaste.